know the city, we know it's gritty. Grew up bad boys, never knowing Diddy. Now we bad boy, like the 80s business. Paying pay to give it away. Oprah Winfrey, are you rolling with me? Are you ride or die? Is you eating what I feed into you? Cyanide, eye for eye, a colder heart than I can hide. So if Tony's dark, it's cause I got iron pride. Might rock a suit and tie, but these roots of mine are blue collar, boots and a new car. Grew in Oakland County, had my school father, but I was made by Wayne like the two Carters. I'm your new barber, putting clips on your head to get a buzz. Ready for the love, the sweat, and the blood, and the tears that I shed.
Numero uno. We are live in the building. With me tonight, I have Keith Urban, Chris Moschina, Chris Mo China.
That's right.
Man of many names. He is from the podcast Kasting Cuzzins. And again, everybody, welcome to Party and Politics. I am your host, Tony Vincent. We're going to kick this thing off. First and foremost, been like a year, I think, since we last did something like this, almost.
Been a hot minute. Yeah. It was on your last show. That was a lot of fun, going back and doing a deep dive on like my personal experience making music and stuff. That was really cool. I don't know what this is, but I'm game for it. So let's do it, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was, I really like that whole idea. And it's not necessarily something I've put to bed. I just think I felt like, maybe even with your episode and some other episodes, I felt like I was having to just stick in this box of conversation. I was like, man, I'm really curious about this thing, but I feel like if I bring that up, it's kind of out off subject. So this is just really Party and Politics. I thought of what are two things that are the most like opposite of each other. So like having a discussion about politics and telling like party stories, something as this leaves it so open.
Just be about anything.
Yeah. You can't hold me back. You can't stop my conversation.
That's right. That's what I like that in a show, really, where you don't limit it. You're not stuck in these parameters.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with my show. It purports to be a show that's admittedly about my cousin and myself discussing our history of making rap music and how terrible it was. But really, at the heart of it, it's just a bunch of continuing inside jokes and rabbit holes about stuff. And sometimes we try to do some character work or some improvisation. And really, it's not. At the end of the day, the song is the least important thing about the whole episode.
Yeah.
It's more about the time spent.
It does seem like it has, evolved into more of like just, what the beginning was of it really just kind of walking through your guys' timeline as rappers. And now it's like, you guys have so much more. The conversation is definitely more outside of just, this is a story of us rapping. Right. It definitely seems like it has gotten, bigger than that, which is cool. And even to the point now where you're having guests on, which is
that's right. Yeah, I mean, we've had like friends that were with us and knew us, while we were doing the rap stuff, and we've had them on. But yeah, we had our first real guest on, which is super exciting. This past week, we recorded an episode with Copyright, who's a rapper from Ohio. He's was on Eastern Conference Records with Mr. Eon and DJ Mighty Mai. Worked with Cage. He's in the Weathermen. He was in the Megahertz crew with Kamuteo. I mean, he's done tracks with LP, Aesop Rock, Jay Dilla. What a crazy person. And like I noted this when I was recording the show, like I've been listening to him since like 2003, which is insane.
Yeah.
Like I just can't believe that he was so agreeable to go on the show.
Yeah, that's really an interesting question I have, because how well, I guess two things to connect it, because I remember when we talked on the last podcast kind of about your history with rap music, you kind of were you got into almost like the underground music before, where like most people it's like, the stuff that's on MTV or on the radio, that is the hook. And then after a while, you're like, okay, I need something deeper. Or it seemed like with you, it was the underground hip hop that really hooked you into hip hop.
I liked some rap, when I was younger, Bone Thugs and have your Tupac, and, you'd get some CDs passed around between friends or whatever, but it didn't really grab me as something that transcended what I thought it could be until I heard like Fuck You Lucy by Atmosphere or something like that, where it just, that I was like, oh shit. Like, and it could have been like a time thing too. Like I heard it when I was 19 and my heart was whatever, like it spoke to me in a certain way. Maybe that's why I latched onto it, but it was a rabbit hole that I just couldn't get enough of. I just kept going deeper and deeper.
Oh yeah, definitely. And with so with copyright, like how does that whole like conversation happen with, like, number one, I guess let me ask this before even talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
Were you and your cousin like, okay, if we go here, if we start reaching out to someone like this, does this alter the podcast? Does this change this whole dynamic? Like, was there a conversation like that at all? Or was it like, hey, this is an opportunity, let's just do it, not even really thinking about it?
It's actually a goal we set for ourselves. We talk about what the future of the show is all the time. And, there's only so much music that we can talk about. At some point we're going to run out. So we have some ideas about what we want to do for the show. And this year we kind of decided, okay, a few things we want to do is have someone outside of our circle, maybe someone with some marginal fame on the show. So we announced that our first episode of the year, we just said, hey, we're looking to do this. Hit us up. Let us know if you have a connection or anything you want to connect us, with anyone. And to that end, I kind of just slid into Copyright's DMs and said, hey, you want to be on my show? And he was fucking down.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it was and it's interesting how, like, I mean, obviously it's like anything else, right? You can either get ignored, you can get rejected, but some people don't even think of the easiest thing, right? Let me just ask,
right.
It's
exactly. I mean, I feel like that, me just thinking he'll say no or ignore it probably kept me from doing it sooner. But the fact that he answered me almost not like in a desperate way. I don't mean to sound like that, but he answered me relatively quick. Whereas I would have I thought maybe he'd be like, I'll leave him on red for a while, and then, but like he was so game. And I mean, to get back to your original question of what we want to do with the future of the show, we really don't know. That's the thing. We're still kind of just figuring it out, but we are open to try new things and anything we can do. If we can get a hook into something and try it, we're definitely going to.
Yeah, no, that's and I think it's good to have that open mind and stuff, because I know that there's really two brains about these situations of, like, and I know with different creative endeavors that I've been in both. I've been in, like, for example, I was in this rap group, and like I had this like box idea of what I wanted the rap group to be, what kind of songs I wanted that rap group to make, and all that. And then things started going like, it's like if you have like a rabid like weed in your backyard and they just start growing like things started getting crazy, and I was becoming like the suit in like the Queen movie, like, no, you can't do this. Like I was like trying to stomp out the creativity because I just thought like this, I had this,
it
like,
just
solid
fit
thing.
It fit in a box, and you're like, oh, that's outside of that, so that's not part of this group.
You're 100% right.
Was that Gangster Bone?
This is way after Gangster Bone. I forgot we talked about that. Yeah, Gangster Bone was long gone at that point, but
R.I.P.
Gangster Bone would have been a little bit more flexible. Gangster Bone was a flexible guy. He didn't.
Okay, he would have been down to clown.
It didn't matter what the song. As Gangster Bone made a rap song over the instrumental to "Eye of the Tiger." So, and it wasn't even a rap version of the instrumental. It was just like we took out like the bridge that there was no words and just rapped over it. So that's what Gangster Bone.
Just rapping over.
Yeah. It was just we would rap over anything we could find that didn't have words on it. I mean, we didn't. It was. I think how down we were. I did not have an ego at that point in time.
The weirdest beat I rapped over was that Godzilla, the
oh yeah,
dun 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 dun,
yeah. That's like one of the hardest beats of all time.
I know.
Sure.
It's oh man. But this was like when I first started rapping like forever ago. It's on like a burned CD that got crushed into a million pieces.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the song was totally just about Godzilla. Like instead of actually being something cool, it was like, all right, so I'm doing a song about Godzilla. Yeah.
It's kind of, who was that song? What was that song originally? Who was the original artist?
Oh, I don't even know. It's
Yeah.
like it's like something I found on LimeWire or Kazaa. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's what's funny, because that beat, it's rare that this happens, but sometimes the beat outlives the artist, right?
Right. Yeah. Who knows who it was? You know,
Yeah.
I'll never know. I could look it up now and forget instantly.
Yeah, for sure. Now you did mention something interesting. You said something about like the burnt CD, and I was thinking about this, and I'm really trying to like wrap my head around, because this kind of thing with the internet and burnt CDs, obviously how it's changed music. Like it's weird, because even though burnt CDs was the start of this having access to the world of music, there was still work into it, and there was still like something about like, you know, these are your burnt CDs, these are something you're holding, and you're still possessing them. You have them in your big, you know, fucking
your binder
5 feet tall booklet thing
Sure.
that you're pulling out while you're driving. So there's something about like, this is yours, or something still special, maybe not as special as like something you had bought, but it was still something. So like it feels like that almost seemed, you know, even though you weren't getting like a booklet and you were customizing your own CD, it seems like even that was more special than like now, where it's just like everybody's got a new album like every day. You know, it's just you're getting one piece of artwork, and you get to look at it through something like this big. Like,
why would I ever bother making a mix for someone to listen to? The algorithm will do it for me.
Right.
I don't like, hey, I'm feeling this. Great. Here's your mix. Cool.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't need to. I mean, but you're right though. There was something about it. There was a care, crafting a playlist, taking the time, burning the CD. Maybe you had an older CD burner. It only burned at 4x. Holy shit, this is gonna take forever.
Yeah. Forget how long it took to actually download the songs.
Oh god. Oh man, yeah, especially trying to download lossless FLAC over like a 56K modem. Months of my life.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that is crazy. But yeah, I think about like our era, because I feel like we're kind of in between eras.
For sure.
You know, we're definitely from the time when we know the world pre-internet.
And there's a dividing line.
Yeah.
There's a clear division for me, like 1994. Like I had a computer in my house. I don't know. I had a computer in my house when I was young, and I had like pre-internet. Like my dad ran a BBS, which is a bulletin board service. So that was like pre-internet thing. We had 4 phone lines going into our house, and people could call into our phone lines and access my dad's file system on his computer.
Oh wow.
So it was like a pre-internet thing, and they used it to like play games and share file. Like it was like for file sharing basically, and playing games and message boards and shit like that. So but still, even then, it wasn't until like 1995 when we got AOL.
Yeah.
Like that was the dividing line for us, where before that it was just toying around and no one had it. And then AOL was like, oh, do you have AOL? Instant message me. You've got me. It was like a whole new thing. And it's clear division. It's more of my life has had the internet than not at this point. But there's like, I still remember that time, and I can't believe it's hard to think that there was a time when people didn't have access to the internet like they do now. Only because like trying to tell my kids about it, I must sound insane.
Oh yeah,
my kids are 14, or my son's 14, and then my stepkids are 12. And
my son's 14 already. Holy smokes!
I know, I know, right? So trying to tell them like, oh, this is how it used to be, like they have no point of reference to compare it to. It's like, you couldn't just look everything up on Google. Like they're like, yeah, but we can.
Right.
So we're going to.
Yeah. And it's weird because I think about like horror movies are ruined for me because like there's so many situations in a horror movie where like
if they just had a cell phone,
if they just had a cell phone, it'd be like the end of the movie. That'd be it.
It's like, oh, what am I going to do? Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, so it is crazy. And that's why I think a lot of horror movies now they like do it
It's set in the past.
Yeah.
Oh, holy shit. I didn't think of that. And I don't watch a ton of horror movies, mostly for reasons you've outlined. They're basically predictable and trash. If I ever watch a horror movie, it's because I heard there's like so much gore in it that like I'll be sick to my stomach. Yeah. And there never is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to beat. You know, I feel like, again, not to sound like an old record, but just it felt like things were happening for the first time a lot when we were growing up. Like it was like, you know, Terminator was such a groundbreaking thing. Alien, like Jurassic Park, like all this stuff
was still like, trying to make those, you know?
Yeah.
Right. They're not making, I mean, well, I guess they're making stuff. There's only a few properties that they're still kind of trying to bring around that are from before our time.
Yeah.
Like if I try to think of one, it's maybe like the Bond series, but they've changed who Bond is so many times. It's like a reboot.
Yeah.
Beyond that, though, I don't know. Well, like I feel like because those are the people from our era are who is in Hollywood now, so they're wanting to reboot stuff that's nostalgic to them/us.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I hate the reboots. I'm going to be honest with you. I want, like, it just bugs me. It's like, just do something original. But I think about stuff and it's like, it is hard to actually come up with something that hasn't been done. Like when you really sit down, because I've thought of a couple show ideas and I've like talked to them with people and they're like, well, that's like Breaking Bad, but you're just like making the characters younger or something like that.
Right.
Like stuff like that I think is like this crazy original idea. And I think that there is, you know, you're not going to stop making TV or movies because of that. You're just going to try to put as much of a twist on it as you can. But yeah, that's the only thing is like, man, put a twist, do something like Stranger Things. That's one of my favorite shows. And obviously they're regurgitating a lot of ideas from 80s movies, right? But it's kind of meta that way.
That's the fun of it, I think.
Yeah,
like
that
sure. It's intentional. It's not like it'd be one thing if it was, dude, this show doesn't even know it's a total fucking ripoff of whatever, you know what I mean? Like just it's very self-aware. It knows what it's trying to do and it does it, and I think it's effective.
Yeah, and I remember when it first came out, like there was this mythology around it when it was coming out, and I literally thought, I don't know if this was like some information that got to me or why I thought this, but it was actually something that was made in the 80s but like never released.
Oh,
and
shit.
Like, you know, when that intro comes on, it looks like a fucking 80, like it doesn't, like, you know, it looks like an 80s intro and it does that on purpose. But what I found out is that the synthesizer that they use for that sound, that was a synthesizer that only existed then and they stopped producing it. So
I love how the score for that movie is. Those synths are fucking amazing. It sounds like some Vangelis shit or something like from the 70s and 80s. Just like Blade Runner-esque kind of synthesizers, really washed out and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's they went all out for that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I love that whole kind of thing. And yeah, it is a weird thing, like I feel like now it's just, you know, and I'm sure every older generation feels that way about like the younger generation. Like, are they gonna have this like something that they feel like is their own, or is everything kind of so like available that it's just like it doesn't feel special? I don't know. Obviously, I'm not the one who's gonna be able to make that call, but it is something I wonder.
Right, and I think I know what you mean, because like when I was my kid's age, and I hate to keep just talking about it like that, but like when I was my kid's age, I had like my favorite music artists. I was obsessed with them. I wanted to know everything about them. I listened to them constantly, and I just don't see that with kids these days. Like, they don't have favorites. They don't even care. Like, oh, I gotta look up. I gotta know everything about this. It's just like, oh, I like that song. It's a cool beat. All right. All right, that's the next song. That's the next song. Like, they're just digesting everything because it's all available to them, and they don't dislike it. They just they don't need to know or care about those things, because if they ever needed to know about it, they could look it up instantly. I think that's what it is. There's something I've done my whole life is like catalog information, and there's no like I'm obsolete now. There's no need for me to catalog it. Like you can have access to it in milliseconds.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think you hit the nail on the head right there, because back then, like, you know, number one, there wasn't as many artists producing music because it was just very expensive. You know, me and the last podcast I did, we were talking about, like, before, you know, the pros and cons of the internet age with music, right? Now it's awesome because if you're a musician, you can get your music out to people without needing a record label, as long as you know how to market yourself and, you know, stuff. You still got to politic, you still got to know how to market and stuff like that. But the downside is the oversaturation. Now everybody can do it, so you're competing with like times a million people, where before there was really only one path forward. And, you know, and to even make back then, because I'll never forget, you know, and I'm from the age of, again, this kind of weird shift from needing to go into a studio to record to home recording. And I remember like hearing people like, I'm saving up to like go record a demo. Like it wasn't even about recording like an album. You know, it was like, man, you know, I have enough money to maybe get a song recorded.
$500.
Yeah. So it's like that really obviously deterred a lot of people who were maybe on the fence. Maybe this is something I want to do. I don't know. Well, hey, if you're not going to spend $500 or whatever it would cost, then it's going to deter you, and you're just going to be like, okay, I'm just going to be a mailman or something. I'm not going to pursue that. Where now it's like, you know, you can get for $500, you can get the equipment to record as many albums as you want to.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That's right. For forever.
Yeah. So it's just, it's definitely become a commodity supply demand kind of situation. So it is weird. And, but again, to my point, what I was going to say is that because of that, you know, like if you did have a favorite artist, you know, you don't know when that artist is going to release another album. So you're going to hold on to that album. You're going to study all the lyrics. You're going to listen to that thing until it cannot play anymore.
Yep.
I mean, you know, until it's scratched to death.
Oh yeah.
Because again, it could be 2 years at least at minimal before you hear. And it wasn't like there wasn't social media. So you're not hearing things from this artist. You're not being updated in terms of what's going on.
If you're a big enough fan, maybe you subscribe to their newsletter if they have one, you know. That's really it, you know, or you know someone that knows someone that heard something.
Yeah. And I mean that kind of stuff, magazine stuff, maybe like
Revolver,
but usually those interviews aren't coming out until they have an album that's about to be released.
Yeah,
that's
like
all part of the
it's all part of the marketing. Yeah, exactly. The junket, the media junket.
So it's and that was kind of magical though as a kid, because you didn't know that was what was going on. You just all of a sudden this person popped up in a magazine. Oh, that's cool. There's a hint. Maybe they're about to release something. You know, there was something more magical about that. Where now it's like, you know, it's just, I don't know. I like to think that magic can still exist sometimes, but it, you know, it's like even like Lil Wayne, Eminem, these gigantic people who I felt like when they released something, it was that big kind of experience. But now it's like they just release stuff so often. It just, to me, it just takes away from it. It's like, I understand if you want to stay current. But at a certain point, like I feel like if you've achieved a certain status, you know, you could take some time off a little bit and, you know, relax. But I don't know. It's a weird thing to try to wrap my head around.
Yeah, it's just totally different now. And like back to your earlier point, like when the divide between recording in a real studio versus a home studio, and that like leading to the oversaturation of the market, like I never saw that divide. Like I always was in a home studio. Anytime I ever recorded, I've been in real studios when other people were recording, but like that didn't legitimize what they were doing.
Yeah.
You know, that wasn't enough for me. I was like, well, yeah, but what are you making with your time in there? Like,
yeah.
And now, like, I remember being in someone's like You've heard of Wise Guy Records?
Yep.
Okay, so the dude had like a house in East Point with a studio in the basement,
Yeah.
and I went over there with a friend who was recording that day, and like he recorded some rap group there called Carnage or something like that.
Okay.
And so they were recording there when we showed up, and then my friend I went with, who was like my roommate at the time, he was going to record like a guitar song. I remember being in that studio and we were there for like 6 hours, just playing the same fucking song over and over again. Every time it sounded like the time before it. And I'm just like, dude, you could like take 3 of these takes, record them at home, splice them together, and you've got the song done, and you're done in 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're in here and there's tens of thousands of dollars of equipment and insulation and everything, all in a control board and a booth and microphones and monitors and anything you would think of to legitimize this home studio that is a basement that's been converted. And I'm just like, at the end of the day, it's like, you paid how much to do that, and what are you leaving with? Like a burn disc with one song on it, like a master wave or something.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's
for what?
Yeah, no, it is one of those things. Why is the story for my wise guy record story? I never was there in person, but my dad, so this is, I don't know, 14, 15. It was when I first started like making music, or at least that he knew about, and he was like oddly supportive, which, you know, is weird because he's kind of been like both people in my life. He's been like the supportive, but also the dad from like the Johnny Cash movie, like, you'll never be nothing, like, you know, that kind of. So it's weird. His dynamic was kind of weird, but anyway, at this point in time, he was being supportive about it, and he was someone he worked at Wise Guy Records. And he goes, hey, like, if you give me something you're working on, I'll give it to them, see what they think. And they actually gave honest feedback, which I thought was I appreciated at the time. I think I was mad about it, but it was like, yeah, he's got a lot of work to do. He's got to, you know, stuff like that, which I think is ballsy to say to your coworker whose kid is an aspiring rapper, you know, and just have the balls to kind of be honest about it. So I appreciate that. I don't know anything really outside of that experience. I've heard, you know, negative things, positive things, whatever.
Sure.
But that's my own personal experience. And that was something I took away, that I was, you know, honesty, especially then when you're trying to do something and you're younger and you have time to develop, like, that's huge. Like at the time I was salty about it. I was like, man, fuck them. What do they know?
Right.
But,
yeah. That's the worst record label ever, I heard.
Yeah. Like, fuck those guys, you know, like I was making it. I was writing a diss record.
A diss track. Yeah.
But no, looking back, it's, cause yeah, I mean, when you're doing stuff, especially when you're young, family members, friends, people in your close circle, they're really not going to, you know, give you that honest feedback for the most part. They're either going to, you know, say, oh, that's awesome that you're doing this, you know, and cheer you on, or just like not care about it really at all.
Yeah, indifference is probably mostly what I've experienced.
Yeah. So so that was a takeaway. But yeah, I mean, the studio thing overall, because I have recorded in some professional studios, it's it is weird because, like, unfortunately, you're not paying for, and this is something that I think I had to become aware of, and it was a lesson I had to learn. You're not paying for like a producer. You're paying just to use that stuff. And if the engineer doesn't like mesh with you or know what you want, this is time that is just being clocked in. Like the last one that I went to, it was the studio in Chesterfield, and they had recorded like a bunch of rock bands and had all these awards and everything like that. And I talked to the guy on the phone, and I was like, look, it looks like you guys have more of a rock, you know, experience. I'm, you know, I'm a hip hop artist. Like, are you gonna, you know, be okay with that? Like basically saying like, are you gonna know that there's a difference in what I do and what they do?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, you know, hip hop, blah, 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 record here all the time. And I literally go there, I record, I do the vocals for this track, and I go into the engineer room. He's got Pro Tools up. I'm like, all right, this part I need you to chop and screw. He's like, what does that mean? And I go, you don't know what that's like, a very basic like hip hop.
That's like that. That's not even like a production technique. That's like a mainstream style of music that you would have heard of.
Yeah, for sure. And I was like, yeah, you need to make like the pitch. Like I was trying to explain it to him, and he's like, I don't know how to, like, he literally didn't know how to do it. And this is a guy who's got like Detroit Music Awards and like all this stuff. And I'm like, you know, and I just laughed after that. I paid him for the hour, which was like $50. And all I got was a thing, just like you said, a song on a CD.
Right.
You know, and that was it. And it was like, yeah.
Put them on blast. What's their name?
I honestly forgot, but there can't be how many studios can there be in Chesterfield, right?
Yeah. We got your number, man.
Yeah. But the vocals sounded good, and that's what you're gonna get. But you're, in terms of like the overall production,
yeah, you're not. You didn't get everything that you came there for.
Yeah, no.
It's so weird because you asked them. Do you have to come out and say like, okay, but like, does your engineer know how to chop and screw? Like, were you supposed to ask that? Dude, I bet a fucking dog could chop and screw something. It's a very like, basic thing. It's pretty simple wave manipulation. Like the simplest maybe.
Yeah, no, and it's frustrating because you're already there, so you're already on the clock. And obviously that's that's something you do in post, so it's not something.
Gotta teach you how to do your fucking job.
Yeah, no, and it felt like that. And there was a few times that I had experiences like that, and one of them that I can't complain about, because one of them, like, part of the reason we actually were getting free studio time in like a crazy fucking, you know, expensive studio with expensive equipment and all this kind of stuff. And it was because this guy's son was trying to learn how to, you know, produce and stuff. So that was part of the deal. So I couldn't complain about that because I wasn't paying for it. He's experimenting, and he, you know, ended up becoming like a decent producer and does that for a living now. But, you know, it's one of those things where it's a big pro and con thing. It's almost like if you're going to do the professional studio thing, you need to know who's actually going to be in that room with you, who's going to be engineering the session. Because you're not paying, you know, it's you don't get to pick who that guy is. It's just, and if they don't know how to do what you want to do, then it's a waste of money.
That's why home studio, man, just do it yourself.
Yeah, no, it's and a big lesson of that was, I'll never forget. This was after that experience with the studio that was not a bad or good experience, I guess. It was just, hey, this kid's learning and whatever. And this guy I started recording music with, he had this shitty Dell computer. I mean, this was just like, I mean, it almost seems like a computer from like 1995 or something. I don't know. It probably wasn't that old. I'm probably exaggerating, but it was old.
Had a floppy drive on it.
Right. It was definitely old. He had some cracked version of Pro Tools. He had a mic that was not like the greatest mic in the world. Didn't even have anything cut off for like vocals. It was just like an open room. And I recorded stuff, and the mixes on that were some of the best like mixes I ever heard at the time. And I remember he said to me, and it stuck with me to this day. And he goes, you know, he's like, look, you know, you could record at $1 million studio, but if the people don't know what they're doing in post, you know, it doesn't matter. Whereas right now we recorded on this very cheap stuff, and, you know, I know how to mix vocals, so it's going to sound better. And it was just it was definitely a huge lesson for sure.
It's, yeah, man. I mean, that's what producers do. They polish turds, you know?
Yeah.
You get it halfway decent, and then they can take it all the way. Whereas, you know, you do the same performance in a bigger studio or, you know, with a different engineer, and they don't know what they're doing, just like you said. Like, it's going to, I don't know.
And you got to pay for it no matter what, which is...
Right, exactly. And that's what, that's my best times working on music has been just like developing that relationship with someone. And, you know, I don't think I've ever just done a song with someone that like, or worked on music with someone's like, all right, this is our first day meeting. Cool. We're doing a song.
Yeah.
Like,
it is kind of cold when you think about it.
Yeah. It's like super clinical, like, hello, shake hands. And then like, all right, I pull an MPC out of my back pocket and just start like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to music now.
Oh, yes. Synchronize our watches, and it is music time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is, and that's another awkward thing that people don't talk about, right?
No, I mean, it's like, how do you broach that subject? Like, how do you tell people that you're a rapper?
Yeah. Oh, are you asking me?
Yeah. Well, it's rhetorical, but then I'm like, no, it's also for you.
Yeah, fair. It's both of them. Yeah, I feel like it's been different at different times. Like when I was there was a certain point where like as I was, a teenager going into like past 18, my ego, like during, I guess this, because it's kind of all these questions are kind of meshing to the same area. So when I was recording in that studio that I told you where the kid was,
God,
learning how to do beat stuff.
Fucking studio.
Yeah. he keeps talking about it. Like, get over it.
My God. Go fucking marry that guy already. Jesus.
Yeah.
Stop talking about how he mixed your vocals.
Yeah. But so around that time I was like I was 19 years old, or I was turning 19. And the kid was the son of like a big time producer. So that's why he was able to afford all this crazy, like this $1 million. I mean, it was just there was a mixing board that the mixing board itself was like $100,000.
Jesus.
So long story short, my ego at this point in time was like through the roof. I was the biggest asshole to be around.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure, when you met me earlier on, you probably thought I was like a little bit of an asshole douchebag, but
sure.
That was like nothing to like
that was way tame.
Yeah, that was.
I would have absolutely loathed 19-year-old Tony, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
like,
no, it was terrible. My dad like couldn't get a
drive this guy off a cliff. Holy shit!
Yeah, no, it was terrible. Like I was an asshole.
Fist
I was
pumping and shit. I bet. Just oh my God.
I was treating the world like I was already like Kanye West level famous.
Oh my
level
God.
Of success. Like people would literally like my dad would like be upset with me about something, because I was still living with him when I was 19, right? And he'd be upset with me about like, something typical, like doing the dishes or something. Like, do the dishes? Oh, please.
Yeah. Like, as if that's beneath me.
Yeah.
Rap superstar.
Yeah, so that's where I was. I was ridiculous. So
wow.
That time, I guess what I'm bringing that up for is like at a time like that, if my ego was like super swole, I had no problem telling like, hey, I am a rapper. I would go to job interviews like, I'm only doing this,
Yeah, this is a side hustle,
yeah, Yeah. Don't get too attached.
My main goal is to blow up and act like I don't know nobody.
Yeah, no. So I would be very casual, open about that at that point in time. Now, if there was times when it was like not great, then I would be very like, I wouldn't want to talk about it. And of course, when you don't want to talk about it, this is a huge irony that like I've noticed, like when you're into it, you're really going hard promoting it. Hey, listen to my stuff, all that kind of stuff. When you don't want people to know about it, when you're feeling insecure about it, whatever the case is, that's when other people are like, oh man, this guy, he made this song. And even if they're kind of like making fun of it or whatever, at least they're like getting, like my whole thing was, man, shit, at least it's getting out. Like, fuck, you can make fun of it. Like,
hey, press is press, right?
Yeah, that was always my thing. But I noticed that would happen when I didn't want to talk about it. Like it was like, oh man, tell your rap stuff, blah blah blah. Like people start talking about it then. But when you want to talk about it, it's not a thing. So that's I guess my answer to that is, if I'm feeling good about it, then I'm putting it out. Like right now, I just released an album and stuff, and like I'll talk about it in these forms of media and stuff, but I'm not like talking to my family about it or different things like that, because it's like I'm not looking at it like, oh, this is something I'm trying to make a career out of at this point. It's just like I need to do something creative to not kill myself, like it's
no, I do know that as someone who I would say I'm a creative type as well, so I always have to have some kind of outlet to do something. Can't just twiddle my thumbs idly.
Yeah, especially, and I'm sure this is part why your podcast started, because like maybe a less darker version than what I'm gonna say, because I'm just a dark person. But when this pandemic started, I was like really started looking at my life. Like if I die today, like is this how I want to live? Like just working a job constantly that I'm not happy with, and just to, just basically being a cog in a machine. I'm doing this to get that, doing this to get that, doing this to get that. And it was like, I wasn't happy, so I'm just like, I need to do like, even if it's not something that makes money, something that makes me happy. So that was a huge reason why I started, whether it was a podcast, started working on music again. And I'm sure to an extent, that's why you guys did it. I don't know if it was as dark of like, having an epiphany of if I die today.
Yeah, I don't think we were really exploring our mortality or the limitations, but it was definitely born of nostalgia and having time on our hands.
Yeah.
So those will make for strange bedfellows. And actually what happened is Alex had my cousin and my real life cousin and podcasting partner, Alex. He like opened up FL Studio to make a beat for some weird work thing he was making, some promotional thing.
Yeah.
Just to whip something together real quick. While he was in there, he started looking at like old beats that he had. Then he started getting nostalgic. And then he like texted me about it. And we talked about doing a podcast like a couple of years ago, but like, I don't know if the stars weren't aligned or if we weren't serious about it, but the next time either of us brought it up, it was, let's do it. Who's doing this? When you lining that up? I mean, and all of a sudden the gears were in motion and we were recording a test episode like within a week of deciding we wanted to do it. And then I had the artwork done and we already had the website registered and it just started popping off like instantly. But like I said, I don't think it was a matter of, will this be our legacy? If we died, is my legacy going to be that I said I was going to fuck someone's mom's corpse till embalming fluid squirted out of her? Or is it instead going to be me taking myself to task for saying such terrible things 15 years ago and kind of exploring that and but also having a bit of reference for it as well because it's fucking funny.
Yeah, and I actually want to ask you about that because you are how do I say this in a way that doesn't sound like a ridiculous like stereotype of like a right-wing person, because I'm not a right-wing person, but you definitely seem to have more of that I guess we'll call it woke stuff, right? And we're all woke in different levels. But me and you met from battle rap, which is the most anti-political correct thing that anyone really can do.
Right.
I mean, the stuff that was said there, racist, homophobic, sexist, I mean, name it, at that point in time, we would have all been canceled. I mean, there was no like I guess what my question is to you is, even after this, where we're all kind of in this world now, and I think, again, I'm very understanding of it. There's people who come from, persecuted backgrounds and stuff that we all as a society need to do better of, making sure everyone has the best experience possible. But I'm also at the same time, I'm very much an advocate of freedom of speech. And like, it's, my whole thing is still like, even if it's the worst thing possible, you have to be able to say things. It's only if you're like about to like really cause some violence and stuff, then it's maybe a legal thing. So where do you stand on that, being someone who comes from that world and, can look at it and like still see the humor in it? Not to say that you would say these things again, but has your mind changed in terms of people having the right to express themselves that way?
No, I don't think I believe anyone shouldn't. Let me word this right. I think everyone has the right to express themselves in a way that befits them. And I think that I can separate things I say when I'm a battle rapper from things I say at my 9 to 5, from things I say to my wife and kids. And I can compartmentalize those. And those are totally different areas of my life. If they start seeping into my real life and I call, my boss the F word or something like that, like, cause I got battle rap on my mind. I'm like, get over here, you little, and then I that's a problem.
Yeah.
But as long as I can keep those worlds separate, they're their own things. When I as a battle rapper, when you enter that ring or when you enter that mindset to be in that world at the event, it's it's all bets are off. It's its own closed off thing. It's like the outside world doesn't even exist while you're in that venue for 6 hours waiting for the event to start, or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that was definitely the case then. I think what I guess my concern is now is that I feel like, let's say the Bar Wars thing started happening now and did not happen then. And it seems like the world that we live in now, anything you say, even if the context is not really meant to be homophobic, racist, sexist, whatever, it's just, hey, I need to get one over on this person. It seems like that could, even if you're not saying it at work, now it seems like we live in a world where like the HR department could find that video and somehow use it against you in real life, because that's becoming, it seems like trying to find, instead of things just happening, it seems like people are trying to find somebody, doing these bad things, saying these bad words. And then like, as opposed to you just putting it out in what you would call real life. So that's, I guess, where more my concern is I get what you're saying is you are making the choice. Hey, I'm not saying this outside of the battle rap. And that,
Right.
That is a personal responsibility. And that I totally agree with. It's pretty stupid if you talk like that at work.
Sure.
But
Are you sure?
But I mean, if you want to go out with a blaze of glory and just start have battle rap bars for every, like, the annoying,
Oh,
person.
dude, I got bars for so many people at my job, dude. Like, they don't even know. I could just light so many of them up, dude.
Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah.
I won't get into that. But I guess more to your point, in terms of people kind of searching for a villain, in a way. I think people have always done that. And it's just choosing what crusade they're going to be on, to the end that people are allowed to freely say how they feel about something, as is their right. People also have the right to feel about what is being said, whatever, in any way that they want as well.
Yeah.
I think it would be wrong for anyone to impose their feelings or beliefs onto someone else. So, like, I get what you're saying, but in my mind, it's so fucking black and white that they don't even commingle. It's not a gray area. I can say what I want as long as it's not inciting violence towards someone, and you can feel you feel any way you want about it, as long as you are not reacting violently towards it. I think that's really what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's where I pretty much believe as well. I guess it seems like just, in the past 4 years have been so crazy with, things kind of, people, I think, on all sides saying like, I'm done, being, trying to do things.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah. It seems like that was kind of the thing. And,
it's crazy because I don't think any of those people were really trying to begin with. No, I mean, because if you were, you wouldn't say shit like that.
Yeah.
Because that's just a part of you, and you just do like, no, I'm always trying to be the better person, and I don't have to announce it because I really am.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, I don't know, man. I don't know. People are so fucking fake. It pisses me off, dude. I hate fucking everyone.
No, I hear you 100%. There's a lot of things. This is kind of off topic, but like something I guess that's kind of similar. And I've gotten this debate with people where, like, these big corporations, when like whether it's, Gay Pride Month or Black History Month, or, the BLM rise of, that becoming more of a mainstream stream of consciousness, them putting up, Black Lives Matter on their Facebook, them putting up gay pride on, like, a rainbow on their Facebook, all of a sudden, like, they, even though their policies may not actually favor these groups, it seems like all's forgiven when they do that.
Lipstick on a pig, man. Until they change something fundamentally about how they really treat their employees and what they're putting back into the community in terms of these social movements, then it's lipstick on a pig, man. I don't know. Yeah, I believe in gay pride too, and I don't have to fucking put a flag on a rainbow flag anywhere on me to to show it. Like
Right.
I show it by being decent to fucking gay people and
Yeah.
defending the idea of homosexuality to anyone that would disparage it in front of me.
Yeah.
That's all I can do. I don't have to get a tattoo of a rainbow.
I thought you were gonna speak. You were speaking in Old English for a second. I do it by defending thy gay man.
Oh yes, thine honor. 'Twas only my wish, you know. I forsooth.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think that anyone needs to, like, I just don't think people need to fucking advertise shit like that. Like I said, if KFC is really with Black Lives Matter, then first of all, that's kind of funny. But second of all, it should be assumed that they are. I would expect a company to come out and say that they're not. But
Yeah.
a thing that's fundamentally and socially correct, which is all people being treated the same.
Yeah.
You just assume that every corporation is doing that. I wouldn't think that needs to be marketed.
Right. Yeah, no, 100%. Well, to do like the worst segue of all segues, because I really was curious. I know we briefly talked about your most recent podcast guest.
Oh, sure.
So I was more curious about that, the conversation you had, and like, did you, well, I mean, you can tell me about the conversation, but I guess I'll ask you these questions. Did you feel, were there questions that you wanted to ask that the fan in you wanted to ask, but the podcaster in you didn't want to?
So I actually have a really good answer for that. So there was something I wanted to ask him about, but I wasn't going to, which is his beef with Cage, because they're not tight anymore. So right when the podcast started, it right as soon as he joined, we made some kind of joke about like, oh yeah, shit, because we were going to talk about your beef with so and so, and he's like, well, I actually don't have a beef with that guy, he's my homie. And I was like, yeah, no, we know you guys are homies. We want to talk about the beef with Cage. And he's like, oh shit, I'll talk about that. What do you want to know? And he just opened right up, dude, and he talked about it for like 10 minutes. It was so wild. So that was, as a fan of that, it was definitely something I wanted to ask because I didn't know. And I was so surprised that I jokingly asked it, and it was answered like better than I ever could have expected.
Yeah, no, and that right there, because I know that like there's certain things, you know, I mean, I'm just getting into the depths of you know, the shallow end of interviewing people who aren't in my personal circle.
Sure.
But yeah, obviously you want to make your guests feel comfortable.
Sure.
So you don't want to be an antagonist to them. Like
it's weird, you know that, but you're not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a sleeper, huh?
Yeah. You son of a bitch. But yeah, because you know that you're probably not going to talk to this person that often, so it's like, I need to get this, you know, I've been listening to this person for a long time. I need to know this information, but you don't want to seem like a gossip queen either. It's like this weird.
It's like, yeah, exactly. You got to walk that line, because it's like, oh, I heard such and such. Like, there was only so much of that I really wanted to ask about. Mostly I wanted to know about writing process and him to talk about like recording and what it's been like in, you know, during the pandemic, and talk about his new album, get some in-depth stuff on beat making and lyrics. You know, I didn't really want to like, oh man, and then what happened?
Yeah. Walk us through that one. Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, obviously, so like Cage and him, like I was really into the Rhyme Sayers crew, then like La Costa Nostra, you know, those guys and stuff like that. So Cage, like I thought, like, and I know there was some crossover stuff with those guys because Necro made beats for Cage, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, Necro made one of the greatest beats. It was sampling the Clockwork Orange theme.
Oh yeah, that was Agent Orange? Or was
Agent Orange, that's right. Yeah. Yes. Necro made that beat.
Yeah, his beats were like, they were like Dipset with like just Blaze beats with like a horrorcore twist. It was like this
Yeah,
is
Necro's
crazy.
insane.
Yeah.
I fucking love his beats.
Did Copyright use Necro beats as well?
No, Copyright actually he worked with DJ Mighty My and RJD2. Do you know RJD2?
Yeah, he's the one who wrote that letter to Eminem with the Christian rap song. Like,
What?
yeah, you don't remember that? You don't remember that?
No.
So that's funny because that's the only thing I know RJD2 for, and you probably know all this other stuff. But yeah, he made this song. This was early 2000s, like right after Stan came out, and it's all about like the perspective of a fan, but feeling like that like before Eminem got signed, he was a Christian rapper, which isn't true. It's just Infinite was a different sound than where he went.
Okay.
It wasn't a Christian album, even though I think a lot of Christian hip hop fans try to put that on it. So his whole perspective was,
because God's love is infinite. So
yeah. I mean, yeah, there's probably a number of connections you can draw with that, but his whole thing was like the Stan thing, but like coming from like a Christian fan, like you sold your soul to the devil, man, like like, you know, since you got
RJD2 is like he's not a rapper though, man. He just makes beats. He doesn't do songs.
I hope I'm not like mixing.
I feel like you're remembering someone else, dude.
I gotta give it a goog because I'm like,
give it a goo. I gotta be honest. I don't think I've ever heard RJD2 rap. He made some of the craziest beats I've ever heard though, like full album, like beat tapes. One's called Dead Ringer and the other one's called Since We Last Spoke. And he's from Ohio too, and that's how we knew Copyright. They knew each other from doing shows down there. So he did a bunch of beats for Copyright. While you're looking that up, I'll continue to talk about that.
Yeah. I'm terrible at multitasking, but
it's cool. You can listen to it later. So yes. So the connection.
I must be. I guess I am thinking of someone else, but they had a similar. Yeah, and it's crazy because that guy never did anything else. Whoever that was.
Oh, he got squashed. Yeah, he got stomped out. Eminem wasn't having that shit. He probably had Bizarre go take care of him. So
KJ52 is his name, so he has a similar name.
KJ. That's a shitty name.
Well, it's pretty close to RJ52 or whatever.
It's RJD2. Okay. And I can't remember why that's his name, like the full thing, like R2D2, RJD2.
Yeah.
But his real name is Ramble John Crone. So the RJ is Ramble John.
Wow, that's a crazy name.
That's a wild name, right? Isn't it? Okay. So the connection between Copyright, Cage, and Eminem. We talk about it a little bit on the show, but give me the deets. I'll give you the exclusive. Yeah. All right. So what it is Copyright and Cage were both on Eastern Conference Records back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
And they were friends with Mighty My, who was managed by Paul Rosenberg at the time.
Wow.
Paul Rosenberg also managed Eminem, as you know.
Yeah.
When Eminem became super lucrative, he dropped everyone else and just kept managing Eminem. But so the High and Mighty have a song with Eminem. And I guess like after that happened, that's what started the beef between Cage and Eminem. Is something happened with it's some implied stuff between them. And, you know, maybe I'll have Cage on to talk about it. Cause I think that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to show Cage like, hey, I had Copyright on. You're going to reply to him.
Inside. And then you can ask the Shia LaBeouf whatever happened. Cause you remember hearing about how Shia LaBeouf was going to make a movie about him, don't you?
Yes, of course I do.
Yeah. So
that was huge. Yeah. Cause they were like hanging out when Transformers was being filmed. Like,
yeah.
I remember that. Like, I was like, why is Cage friends with Shia LaBeouf? What the most random shit. Like,
no, does
this mean I gotta like fucking Peanut Butter Hill now? or whatever bullshit fucking movie he's in?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is I'm definitely I know more about Cage, but I know them like Cage even is, you know, he's a little bit outside my peripheral. And it's funny because I didn't know that him and Eminem had beef until way after. I mean, I literally got into Cage in like 2008 around the time he was dropping Depart From Me.
Mm-hmm.
And like then, you know, I remember talking about it with somebody and they're like, yeah, you know, Eminem and him had beef. And I'm like, what? Because at that time that was more of an alternative, almost a rock record. It wasn't really like a stereotypical like
Depart From Me.
Yeah.
Because it was produced by F. Sean Martin from Hatebreed. So that's why it kind of has that edge to it.
Yeah, I love that. It's an amazing album.
He did most of the beats for it. It's just a totally different sound, a real departure. Whereas like on the album before that, a lot of the beats there were beats by RJD2 and LP and Blockhead and, you know, just the regular stable of Def Jux artists, because that was when he was still on Def Jux when he did Hell's Winter.
Right. Yeah, and I just and that number, I mean, you know, I'm not disrespecting. Depart From Me is one of my favorite albums to this day.
That's a good album.
Back and listen to it, but yeah, it wasn't until after that like someone was like, yeah, they had beef, and I went back and like, yeah, Eminem says this
in Role Model,
and
that's right.
And I always thought the line was, I took Cage's tape, and like Cage was a brand of tape. Like I always thought that was like I took Cage's, like he was physically taking tape and wrapping it over like something, and it's no, Cage's like cassette tape.
Right.
So that was a sleeper line for me. That was, you know, I didn't catch till like a decade after it was made.
Yeah.
But this is because you mentioned the whole fallout of Cage because of the business stuff. There's this other kind of thing, and I wonder if they're all connected. So like, and I don't know if me and you have talked about this before, but I have to preface, I do not know the facts about this whole thing. So if I'm wrong about anything, anyone watching, whether it's you or whoever else,
you're gonna get canceled.
Yeah, well, I don't think I'm gonna get canceled. Someone's gonna be like, oh, that's wrong, whatever. But apparently in the late 90s, record labels were in like a rush to find the next white rapper. As much of a gamble putting out a white rapper was, there seemed to be this energy going on, like where they were just signing as many white rappers as they could. And there was, you know, this guy named I don't know if you ever heard of him because he never really came out, but Hot Carl.
I know Hot Carl. He's married to fucking Danielle Fishel.
Yeah, and he's like a show writer now. He writes on a lot of shows.
Yeah, it's Jordan or something. Is that I'm trying to think of his Jensen Karp. That's
Jensen Karp. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he ends up he got like $1 million record deal with Jimmy Iovine, and out of like nothing, like this guy never recorded a song. It was like some freestyle on the radio. I mean, this is how desperate these labels were at this time. Another guy, you know, and again, shout out to this guy. You may have heard of him from Ferndale, Spit Vicious or Vicious.
Mm-hmm.
So he got signed by DreamWorks at the time, and there's a couple other of them. I mean, Cage is kind of one of these things, but there's like at least a handful of these white rappers who are getting signed like, you know, like crazy. And what ended up happening is like there was this big consolidation of labels where like Universal consolidated and DreamWorks got sold off, and all this huge thing happened, and Jimmy Iovine was basically left holding all the cards, all these deals,
just a bunch of white rappers.
Yeah. And he's like, well, who's actually going to be the one? Because we're not going to release more than, you know, one of these guys. You know, we only need one. And basically it was decided that Eminem was going to be the guy who, you know, they put the money behind, and all these other guys got dropped. So you can imagine, like, you know, you finally made it. You got this record deal. You feel like your dreams are about to come true. And then boom, like it's all taken away from you.
No shit. No,
So,
I'd never heard that.
Yeah. So, well, Hot Carl talks about it in that book, Kanye West Owes Me $400 or whatever it is. So he talks about his encounter. Vicious has talked about this on diss records because he's like made a bunch of diss songs in Eminem. I don't know if Eminem's hasn't really responded, but
oh shit, no way, unreal.
Yeah, but yeah. So there's I've heard this thing for a while, and the whole Cage thing. I know with, you know, whatever was going on with Paul Rosenberg. So I'm wondering if that was even, you know, tied to all that. I obviously don't know, but it is an interesting thing with the business, man, and just like how, you know,
I love the idea that they were just like, all right, who's the best white rapper? No. We're not going to judge you on skill or talent.
Yeah.
Who's going to sell the most records?
Yeah.
It's this one, the one with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Yeah.
It's this one. Fucking ridiculous, man.
Yeah, for sure.
And the fact that like he's like, I don't even think he's like, Jimmy Iovine probably thought he could make money on them, but it wasn't worth the amount of work and money he would have to pump into all of their projects to get them off the ground.
Yeah, well,
what am I doing defending Jimmy Iovine like he needs it? It's like, dude,
it's crazy. What's crazy is though that Hot Carl, he like had his whole album done. Like they spent like crazy amount of money. Literally, that's how that Kanye West story started, because Kanye West was one of the producers on his album.
Unreal.
And this is before Kanye West was like a star. He was just a producer
Right.
that labels were using. And he tells the story of Kanye West showing him in the studio Jesus Walks, and everybody like made fun of him and thought like he was autistic or something, and like, you know, which he might be autistic. I mean, I don't know, but it's
hard to say.
Yeah, but it's crazy. I can't imagine, like, it's one of those things that like getting a record deal is hard enough. It's a 1 in a billion shot, and then to get it and then just be like, well, we're just not going to use you. Like, oh man, it's almost like, is it better to not ever get one? You know?
And then they're like, and you got to pay back your advance.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude.
You're like, but I already bought 3 houses.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, that would
turn them in. Give me the keys. It's Jimmy. It's me, Jimmy Iovine.
Yeah.
Give me the keys. I need more houses.
Yeah.
I have so many white rappers' houses.
He just collects white rapper.
Yeah, it's just like a valet cabinet, and he opens it up, and it's just rappers' houses' keys that he's collected as he fucking bankrupted them.
It's like they're
all labeled. Yeah, I don't even know where to find this house, but if I ever do, it's mine.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a pair of shoes in there.
That's right. It's claim ownership.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, we've been rocking this out for a little bit over an hour. It's been fun, like always.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do it again, man. Maybe do like set up a crossover, like a Scooby-Doo, and
we got to have you on KC, man. I'm thinking the best way to do that is you should like pick some of your older music that you want to talk about, and we'll bring you on and do that. How's that sound?
That would be cool. Like pick an older album from when I was younger and stuff.
Yeah. Have you on, we'll highlight a few tracks, talk about things we like, maybe talk about things we don't like, as we want to do.
That's even better. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know,
especially if I'm so far removed from it, I can enjoy it, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the best part. Like we're doing stuff on our show now that we've done more recently, like, and I'm just like, oh, I really don't want to say anything bad about it. I still like it. I just
because you've gone through all the old stuff. So
I'm in stuff that I've made in the last decade, and it's like, dude, I made this like right when I started battle rapping. Like, I don't know if I could make a better album than this now.
Yeah, no, it's for sure. Yeah, but yeah, no, I'm definitely down for that, man.
Love to have you on. So yeah, thanks for having me. This was a blast. Always love having a good conversation with you. This will be a nice placeholder till the next time we can get lunch.
Yeah. we've been planning lunch for like a
4 years.
Yeah. Yeah, man, we're definitely gonna get lunch. It's gonna
get lunch. All right, as soon as we get this virus figured out, lunch, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. Yeah, plug away. Let the people know where they can get the podcast, how they can get it, all the ways that they can
Thank you. All right, so it's called Kasting Cuzzins. That's KASTING CUZZINS. We are 2 real cousins that talk about rap music. It's castingcuzzins.com. We're on Spotify, Apple, Google, fucking wherever you want to stream podcasts from, Stitcher, Podchaser, we are up in there. Please enjoy. New episodes release every Sunday at 7 a.m. And we work real hard on them. And I hope everyone loves it. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and it is definitely probably one of the most well-produced podcasts I think I've ever heard. So
thank you.
Shout out to you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to be on. Again, appreciate having you on. And, we'll be in touch, man.
Awesome. Bye, everyone. Thanks. Salute, Tony.
Later. Peace. Y'all thought I was dead? I'm on it. Came back on you instead. Karma. We ain't partners and we damn sure ain't friends. Raising hell till that's where you descend. You were damn so distressed. And I ain't Captain Save a Hole neither. It's the first the rent due. Pay is gon' leave her. Any questions? Save it for the teacher. Only thing that you should ask is what's to pay me for a feature. Baby, sign your t-shirt. You should do your research. Been standing on top so long, my feet hurt. If we freestyle, I'll run off with your threads. I got a fever, I'm hot off of the head. Shots over your head, want my props in my crib.